Okay, good morning students. So today is Tuesday, April 28th, and in this video I will be going over a new lesson that we're doing, and I'll also go over the password that you need for today's discussion post. So please listen carefully. There's a lot of new things I'm going to be teaching in this video, so make sure that you are paying attention. You can also take notes if you want to. Alright, so this is Tuesday, April 28th. What are you going to do? You will watch this video and then you will turn in a discussion post. Now I'm gonna go and show you what you were supposed to do yesterday. Yesterday you were supposed to go to the purple folder and you were supposed to do the review discussion and retake your quiz if you needed to. And now we're going to do our house design discussion number 1, which is due today. I will tell you the password at the end of the video. Now, for today's video, I'm also going to first review the discussion from yesterday because I saw a lot of students needed help with the discussion post. So I'll press present. It says if you still need to catch up, you can go to the materials folders and catch up on assignments. If you're ready to move on to today's lesson, click there. Our do now, our learning objective says, I will apply my understanding of thermal energy transfer to design a house that effectively minimizes thermal energy transfer to save energy. So I talked about how we were going to do a project, but because we're no longer in class together, we can't do the project all together, but we are still going to do part of it, which will be to design a house. So what will you do today? First, we're going to review the correct answer for Monday's discussion, and then you'll finish watching this video. Alright, so just a quick review. Thermal energy always transfers from warmer objects to cooler objects. So when an object gets colder, that means that thermal energy left. It transferred out of the object. So for example, you have a person and you have the cold air outside. The person is 98 degrees and the cold air outside is 60 degrees. That means that thermal energy is going to leave the person. Remember, coldness does not move. The cold air will not enter the person. The only thing that moves is heat, thermal energy. So thermal energy will leave the person and go to the cold air outside. So if thermal energy leaves the person, then 30 minutes later, the person's going to be colder. He's going to be 90 degrees. So he's going to feel colder because thermal energy left the warm object. Now, for our discussion, a lot of us did not understand this question, so I'm going over it right now. Number 2 said, this was our discussion post. When it is cold at night and you do not have a blanket, your warm body can start to feel cold. Why? I just went over it in the previous slide. So if it's cold at nighttime and it's 60 degrees and your body is warm and you don't have a blanket right now, well, your body's going to start to feel cold because remember, thermal energy is going to leave your body. Thermal energy will leave the warm body and go to the cold air outside. Again, coldness is not going to enter. Cold does not move. Only thermal energy, heat, will leave the body. So my body starts to feel cold because thermal energy transferred from the warm body to the cold air outside. Next one. Question number 3. You can use a blanket to keep your body warm. Is the blanket an insulator or a conductor? Well, a blanket is not made out of metal. The blanket is an insulator. It's going to keep your body warm. It's going to keep your body warm because it's an insulator, and we're going to talk about how it does that. Remember, insulators are materials like plastic, wood, wool, cloth, things that slow down thermal energy transfer. Now, the final question that a lot of us had trouble with, listen carefully because you will see this again. Question number 4, how? How does the blanket keep your body warm? The blanket keeps my body warm because, well, if you throw on a blanket, it's going to slow down thermal energy from leaving your warm body. Remember, when you don't have a blanket on, the heat, the thermal energy from your body is going to quickly escape your body. It's going to leave your body into the cold air outside. So by putting on a blanket is an insulator. It's going to slow down the transfer of thermal energy out of my warm body into the cold air. So the blanket will slow down heat from leaving your body because it's an insulator. So some of you wrote that the blanket prevents or stops cold air from entering my body. Well, we just said that coldness does not move. So the blanket is not stopping the cold air from coming to your body. Instead, the blanket is stopping or slowing down the heat from leaving your body. Okay, so that was Monday's discussion. And now you're watching this lesson video. This is part 1. I'll put up the other ones on Wednesday and Friday. Please watch the entire video so that you can hear the directions for today's discussion post. Now, we're going to talk about climate change and global warming just very briefly. Many of you have been hearing that on our Earth right now, our climate is changing, and you've heard of global warming, which means that there's a lot of greenhouse gases in our air that is making our Earth warm up very quickly. The temperature of our Earth is rising and rising, and that's leading to a lot of different issues, especially climate change. Now, how can we help with climate change? How can we help our environment? What can we do at home to lower our carbon emissions? Because everything that you do that uses up energy and fossil fuels, you're releasing more greenhouse gases that's harmful to our Earth, and those greenhouse gases make our Earth heat up even more. So first, we can conserve. Conserve means save. You can save energy at home so that we don't use as much fossil fuels in power plants. So the first thing you can all do to help our environment is to save energy when you're at home. Because every time you turn on the electricity, every time you turn on the AC, the heater, the lights, you're using fossil fuels which are harmful to our environment. So how can we conserve energy at home? How can we save energy at home? Now this slide is really important, so I suggest you listen carefully because your discussion post is about this slide. So in the winter time, the outside air is colder, right? In the winter, it's cold outside, and the air inside of your house is warmer. So if that's the case, then thermal energy is going to leave your house. Thermal energy will transfer out of your house through the roof, through the windows, the floors, the walls. Thermal energy is going to leave your house because it always goes from warm to cold. So since the air outside is cold, thermal energy will leave your house. Now, if a house is badly made, if a house was made poorly, then so much thermal energy will quickly leave the house. And that's going to make the inside of your house super cold in the winter time because all of the heat from your house is leaving your house really quickly. So then the inside of your house gets super cold during the winter. And what do people do? Well, they turn on the heater. And they turn on the heater because it got so cold since all the thermal energy left. And when you turn on the heater, you're using fossil fuels, which is not good for the environment. Now, another question. In the summertime, what happens? Well, in the summertime, the outside air is so much hotter, and the air inside of your house is much colder. So that means that thermal energy is going to enter from the outside to the inside of the house. So all of the hot air from the outside of your house is going to transfer into the house. And again, if a house is badly made, then so much thermal energy will quickly enter your house. And soon enough, you're going to feel so hot inside your house because all the thermal energy is entering into our house. So this will make the inside of the house really hot in the summer. So what do people do? they turn on the air conditioner because it's so hot inside. So they turn on the AC. And again, that's using fossil fuels, which is not good for our environment. So, how can we conserve energy at home? Well, the first step is that we need to slow down. We need to minimize. Minimize means slow down. We need to slow down thermal energy transfer into and out of our houses so that we are not wasting energy by turning on the AC or the heater. So, we have to keep heat out of our houses in the summer, and you want to keep heat inside of our houses in the winter time. And this way, we will use less energy to heat and cool our homes. So in the summertime, you want to keep the heat out of our house so that the inside of your house can stay nice and cool. And in the winter time, you want to keep the heat inside of your house. You don't want the heat to leave your house so that your house can stay nice and warm. And if you can design a house that can do this, that can minimize thermal energy transfer, well, then you're gonna be using less of the AC and the heater, which will help our environment. So, our project this coming week and next week will be to design an energy efficient house. So, energy efficient houses are built very well so that they can minimize thermal energy transfer in and out of the house. So again, energy efficient houses minimize, which means reduce and slow down thermal energy transfer so that in the summer the house can keep the heat out and in the winter the house can keep the heat in. So for our project this week, the setting will be summertime and the temperatures are rising due to global warming, and your challenge is going to be to design a house that minimizes thermal energy transfer from the hot air outside to the cooler air inside the house. Now, before we start to design our houses, I first have to check for your understanding about what I just taught you right now. So you're gonna go and turn in your comment on your discussion post. The discussion post has 4 questions, and the first question is gonna ask you for the password from today. So hopefully you watched the entire video and listened really carefully. If you struggle with the discussion post, that's letting me know that maybe you didn't listen carefully during this video. So if the discussion is difficult for you, then re-watch the video and look at the notes carefully, please. So the password for the discussion post is house. So this is our password. Now you're gonna go ahead and go to your purple folder and click house design discussion number 1. When you click that, it's gonna open up to here. You can again copy and paste, and then you're gonna answer the red parts. What is the password from today's video? The password is house, and then read the questions carefully and you can fill in the blanks. You can erase the lines and type your answers, and then you'll press post. Okay, make sure you press post. And remember, I always comment, I always reply and give you a score. So come back and check for your score later on tonight so that you can see if you did it correctly. All right, that's it for today. Please comment on the discussion post. Make sure you rewatch this video if you need to. Your goal is to get a good grade, to show me that you understood. All right, you can do it. I'll talk to you again on Wednesday.